Tahrir Square, Cairo. Independence Square, Kiev. Gezi Park, Istanbul. Moscow. Paris. Rabat. Why do we endlessly form ourselves into crowds, into mobs? What do we want? What do we hope for? Us, men and women, each of us apart, together. Does a crowd have a morality, a purpose, an aim? Does a storm at sea? What do we lose? What gain? Why? Why? London, then. The year 1780. It will serve as well as any, I think. After all, it is, in its time, the greatest city in the world. Here are commerce and government, pleasure and profit, hope and despair, and, at its dark heart, the vast organ of undiscriminating pain and punishment that is Newgate Prison. Is it only fear that keeps man down? Take that away, and is the key turned in the lock to let out King Mob? An old inn in Epping, on the far edge of that great galaxy of smoke and misery and ambition that is London. The Maypole Inn, before which stands said Maypole, still occasionally used by the village folk to dance and twine about in the old dance, the old way. The fathers might say with old Tom Kidd, "What's a son? A thing begot within a pair of minutes, a lump bred up in darkness." As for what the sons and mothers, the daughters and lovers might say, as the key turns, the tumblers fall, and riot waits seething beyond the door. How will our characters act and react when it all comes down, when they are consumed by King Mob? "5 years have passed since young Joe walked out of the Maypole, since Ned Chester walked out of his father's life, since Mrs. Rudge and Barnaby and Grip the Raven walked and flew out of Epping. None of them have been heard of since. And yet, in the dark of the night, do the ghosts of the past sometimes slip and slither into our present? Does each one of us have a choice when we face that unknown, that unthinkable moment? Do we have a choice? Or does the crowd take us to itself, will we, nil we? How do we act when fear comes tapping at our door and asks the big question? And in London, the captains have done their work. King Mob stalks the city. His fiery breath scalds respectability. The door is open, the offence is out. And in Parliament, come the day, come the man to reassure the folk. The man for the times, they say. Chester will lead us to safety. Nothing is beyond Chester, they say, and they are right. His moment of choice came and he chose. He plucked ambition from the burning branch and means to eat it whole. He knows nothing is beyond the power of King Mob, and through it, nothing is beyond the reach of Sir John Chester. Newgate Prison, the dark, secret heart of London, and back from the dead,
William Rudge.
He is wanted in connection with the murder of Reuben Haredale and his wife, as well as a number of highway robberies in the Epping area.
the dark, secret heart beats still, but for how long? As King Mob stands astride the city, an old inn in Epping, on the far edge of that great galaxy of smoke, misery, and ambition that is still, and evermore shall be, London. The Maypole Inn, before which stands again said Maypole, put up by the new landlord of said inn. Tahrir Square, Cairo. Independence Square, Kiev. Gezi Park, Istanbul, Moscow, Paris, Rabat. Why do we endlessly form ourselves into crowds, into mobs? What do we want? What do we fear? Or is the only question, in the end, how each one of us acts when called upon to make the choice?
I don't think so, Grip. I think I'd rather be a teapot.
And perhaps the only truly good man in this story world we have created, of all the characters we have set about their paths, is this Barnaby Rudge.
Then I'd be warm in winter and always have something to drink when I was thirsty.
A simple soul. A child. And yet this is not a child's world. And for the rest of us, and our hopes of salvation,
Nevermore!